In this lesson, we're going to talk about why having a branding strategy is important for your business. But first, let's try to define what a brand is. What comes to mind when I say Apple? What comes to mind when I say Coca-Cola, or Nike, or Shell? Did you think about the products they sell or services they offer? Did you think about an experience you had with them? Maybe a specific color came to mind, or a commercial, or a piece of advertising? Or did you think about a certain type of person? If you associated a combination of elements, a product, a color, an experience, or an identity to any one of those businesses, you have an idea of what a brand is. But let's define it further by stepping back into history. Brands, or branding, originates with cattle ranchers, who would brand their name or mark into their cattle so that someone could tell one ranch's cattle from another's. Later, this method of distinguishing the owner or maker of a particular product became especially important when a farmer, craftsman, or producer would want their goods to stand out on a store shelf. They would put their name, signature, or a logo on it. Over time, consumers would come to know and trust one producer's product over another. Today, we think of a brand as much more than a product with a name on it. In our example earlier, we saw that there are a number of things that could come to mind when thinking about a business. And that's exactly what a brand is, a combination of elements or attributes associated with a business that make up an experience about that business. A brand can consist of the products or services it offers. A brand can also consist of the feeling you get when you step into that business's location or log on to their website. A brand is also their logo and the colors or images they use. A brand is also the words they use and the voice in which they communicate. A brand is also the stories they tell about what they do. A brand is also the business's principles or the values they stand by. A brand is also the connection they make and how it makes the consumer feel in relationship to them. David Ogilvy, the father of advertising, once defined a brand as the intangible sum of a product's attributes, its name, packaging, and price, its history, its reputation, and the way it's advertised. Ultimately, creating a brand is creating a personality or identity for your business that differentiates you from your competitors in the marketplace. But we have to ask an important question. Is a brand wholly created by the business, or is the brand only what consumers perceive or think of a business outside of the business's influence? The answer is a little bit of both. Ultimately, a business must be deliberate in the brand it wants to create, from the story it tells about how it started, to the color palette it uses, to its voice on social media, to the audience it wants to engage with. But customers will create their own perceptions and judgments as well after interacting with your business. We've all tried out new restaurants, and you've probably gone to one where when you walked in, you knew it had personality. The decor was carefully chosen, the dishes are the chef's unique creations, the menu has a specific typography to it, and you just think the place has a cool vibe. Well, that's an example of deliberate branding. Compare that to a restaurant whose furniture is nondescript, art is generic, whose menu looks like it was designed from a template, and whose dishes you could just get elsewhere. This is a place that hasn't put much thought into branding at all, and because of that, they won't create much of a connection with their customers. But branding is also created by the customers of a business as well. In the first example, the restaurant may want a specific type of crowd, so they've done the work to cater to a certain demographic or persona. If those customers enjoy the food and the ambience, they will tell their friends about the experience and post about it on social media. They may become regulars and identify with the brand. Because the second brand doesn't have a clear brand, it may not be attracting the right demographic it hopes. Customers may not like the atmosphere or the food and would share that on social media, thereby creating a negative perception of the brand, which would fill in the branding vacuum the restaurant left. You can see this kind of brand creation with more mainstream businesses such as Coke, Nike, and Apple, who have all done expert work at creating the specific look and feel, experience, and identity of their brands. Customers are then attracted to a brand story and culture and want to be part of that brand's identity. A brand's ultimate goal is to not only have consumers buy their products, but to identify with the brand so much that they become an advocate for it. Now that we've seen the basic importance of how a brand can connect with consumers, let's explore why you should be deliberate about brand creation. We, as consumers, may think to buy a product solely on how it tastes or what it does, but there's a lot more association going on at a deeper experiential level than we think. Let's look at some of the reasons why you should have a brand, why you should be aware of what your brand communicates, and why you should be deliberate about creating your brand. A brand is trusted. Brands tend to have a history associated with them, with established, consistent stories, products and experiences. Customers who've had positive experiences with the product or business trust it to be reliable as well. You wouldn't necessarily think of trusting a condiment, but Heinz Ketchup, founded in 1876 and dubbed America's favorite ketchup, is a trusted brand because of its high quality, consistency, and its pop cultural mystique of how to get the ketchup out of the bottle. A brand connects through beliefs it communicates and draws in customers who share the same beliefs. An example is Tom's footwear. Founder Blake Mycoskie grew to love a specific design of shoe when traveling in Argentina, but also found that many children there didn't have footwear at all. He then founded Tom's, which donates a pair of shoes for every pair purchased. Those who want to purchase footwear but also want to connect to a bigger story will be drawn to Tom's. A brand can help consumers to recognize your product. Just like cattle farmers branded their cattle so they could recognize them as part of their farm, brands are a signal to consumers about what they can expect from the product and who it belongs to. A good brand is readily recognizable, and that's the case for Disney, one of the most recognizable brands in the world. Disney's brand has so proliferated culture that if you see 3 interconnected black circles, you probably think Mickey Mouse. Disney has not only built their brand through storytelling, but through products and experiences. But brand recognition doesn't just help big players. It can be as simple as knowing that a second location of your favorite cafe will have the same quality, feel, products and services as the first. Brands also create an ease of selection for a consumer who has had positive interactions with that brand before. You may always buy Heinz Ketchup because it's a trusted brand. Or you may always buy 7th Generation products because you believe in sustainability. Or you may always order from a local pizza chain because you grew up going there and have fond memories associated with the brand. Or if you want to grab a cup of coffee, you may automatically go to the coffee shop you always frequent, even if there might be others on the street. Branding benefits both the business and the consumer, and it takes the guesswork out of choosing a product on the consumer side and solidifies a returning customer for the business. Brands communicate certain values and they can present a certain lifestyle. Consumers may identify with those values and lifestyle, or they may aspire to those values. In other words, consumers may want to be like the people that would typically use the brand. Consumers may buy the brand because they want to signal that they have the values or lifestyle that the brand presents. People may buy products of a status symbol brand, for instance, like wearing a Rolex or driving a Lexus. Or it could be buying Under Armour products because of the belief that wearing these products could make you a better athlete. A brand can make people want to say, "Hey, I'd like to be like that." And the brand can help to signal that to the outside world. Creating a brand can foster loyalty that becomes sticky enough that your customers will follow you to new products and innovations. An example is the Brazilian sunglass business Chili Beans, one of the most successful sunglass companies in Latin America. Chili Beans doesn't just sell the same product year after year, but releases new sunglass designs every week. Not only do their customers eagerly await their new designs and buy them when they're released, the business knows that they have a loyal base who will follow along with the business's innovation. Customers loyal to a brand may also have less pricing sensitivity as well. You see this with the high price of Apple products, but you also see it with Starbucks, where some frothed milk and a few shots of espresso will cost you $5. But customers who are loyal to the Starbucks brand will readily pay a lot for a coffee. If a customer perceives that they're getting value and the right branding can convince them of that, they'll always be willing to pay a premium. Finally, having a strong brand is a benefit for the internal marketing team, as all decisions surrounding social media communication, website and in-store experience, the way they interact with customers, and even new product packaging is filtered through their branding framework. It becomes very easy to decide whether something as big as a new business initiative or something as small as a tweet is on brand.